Hello, this is Video T, and guess what? We're still talking about object-oriented programming, so much so that I'm going to stop writing that on the board. But first I'm going to find a juicier black marker. Try this one. Let's look at, continuing on, oh, that's much better. Two what? Major sections of an object. And actually, I guess what I mean by that is the only two major sections of an object. But first, I'm going to use green because that's kind of like grass. I'm going to draw a dotted line right through the middle of the board, like so. And then I'm going to label the two halves of the board. This is above the surface. Abbreviated above surface. Things above ground. That's why I use green for grass, ground. Okay. This is below surface. And I bet you've already guessed the two major sections. One of them is going to be above, one of them is going to be below. The one above the surface, here it is, the interface. I-N-T-E-R-F-A-C-E. I show my face to the world. I think I've got world markers here. World. Looks more like the moon, doesn't it? Hang on. There. Continents. There we go. The interface can see the world if it needs to, and the world can see the interface. So that is, there's actually a word for that. That is public. P-U-B-L-I-C. Yet another reserved word in C++. We actually type in the word public and say, this is the part of me that I'm going to expose to the world so that they know how to use me if they need to, for crying out loud. An object is going to be useless if it doesn't have an interface, because that is how you interact with it. This is visible. Well, I'm going to publicly visible. Now it's not a reserved word anymore, but it's easier for me to describe it that way. The interface part of an object is publicly visible, and if it's going to be of any use at all, it's got to be simple, direct, and intuitive. Words to live by. Simple, direct, intuitive. One of the things you learn in interface programming, now called mobile app development, if your interface is not simple, direct, and intuitive, then nobody is going to use your app. Nobody is going to use your object. You're going to fall into disuse no matter how clever or how fancy or how complicated it is or fun to play. If that game requires a 500-page user manual to be able to use the interface, then you're dead. It's not going to work. So, above the surface, we want that to be clean and look, just falling off log, easy to use. Down beneath the surface. Now, these are two pieces, remember. These are two components, the two major components of one object. Keep that in mind. Below that is the implementation. A real simple example just popped into my mind. An old-fashioned wind-up watch. The interface are those hands that are moving around telling you what time it is. If you know how to tell time looking at a clock, then the interface is pretty simple. A digital watch would be even simpler. It just tells you what the time is in digital letters. Or digital numbers, excuse me. Below the surface is the implementation. That's the insides of your watch. All those teeny tiny little circuits and chips and all that kind of stuff. Oh my goodness. That is ridiculously complicated. And it's as complicated as it needs to be. We don't care about the implementation. That's below the surface. That's not our problem. That's whoever's implementing this thing that's a problem. This is private. I'll put it back publicly. I'm sorry.